James Jesus Angleton was not merely a bureaucrat. He was the founding architect of the Central Intelligence Agency's Counterintelligence Division. In 1951, he established an exclusive, deeply classified intelligence sharing channel with Israel's Mossad. The channel was entirely personal. It bypassed standard State Department protocols. Congress was completely blind to its existence. It operated without external oversight for 24 years. 34 years later, Jonathan Pollard, a civilian intelligence analyst working for the United States Navy Anti-Terrorist Alert Center, confessed to executing one of the most devastating espionage operations in American history. He was spying for Israel. Among the tens of thousands of highly classified documents he leaked was the 10-volume technical manual of America's global electronic surveillance network. Decades after this unprecedented intelligence breach, the United States signed a 10-year Memorandum of Understanding, legally binding the U.S. to provide a guaranteed $3.3 billion in annual military financing to Israel, immune to standard congressional budget cuts. This is not the chronology of a geopolitical alliance. This is the collapse map of an immune system. The United States Department of Justice, in coordination with the CIA, finalized the Pollard Damage Assessment Report in March 1987. According to page 12 of the declassified section, the leaked documents did not merely contain static intelligence. They contained the complete operational blueprint of the U.S. Global Signals Intelligence capability. Pollard handed over the Radio Signal Notations Manual, a document detailing how the National Security Agency intercepts and decodes foreign communications. It exposed the precise locations, frequencies, and technical limitations of American electronic listening posts worldwide. The exact financial and operational extent of the damage remains classified today.
The Angleton Channel of 1951 was the initial entry point. It established an environment with no oversight. Pollard's espionage in 1985 was the exploitation of that environment. A critical vulnerability was exposed. In any functional biological organism or digital network, the detection of a catastrophic breach triggers an immediate patching protocol. The system isolates the threat and reinforces the firewall.
The patching protocol never initiated. Pollard served a life sentence, yet the structural relationship between the United States and Israel did not weaken. It accelerated. According to the Congressional Research Service report R44245, the 2019 Memorandum of Understanding fixed annual military aid at $3.3 billion, plus an additional $500 million for missile defense. The agreement structurally separated this funding from routine budgetary debates. The human spy was punished. The systemic relationship was rewarded and immunized against fiscal reductions.
The system diagnosed the breach, identified the source of the infiltration, and responded by guaranteeing permanent resources to that exact source. These are not separate historical incidents. They are different mechanical outputs of a single, localized paralysis.
Third output, the cyber domain. Pegasus and Kangaroo. Military-grade surveillance software developed by the Israeli cyber intelligence firm, NSO Group. In November 2021, the U.S. Department of Commerce placed these entities on an export restriction list. The official justification stated that they supplied spyware actively used to maliciously target U.S. institutions, journalists, and embassy personnel. The software was officially classified as a threat to United States national security. Yet, an investigative report published by The Times in 2024 revealed that the CIA secretly purchased and utilized Pegasus for an intelligence operation in Iran, operating through a front company in Djibouti to bypass its own government's restrictions.
The host organism now relies on the virus to function. The United States government officially banned a foreign cyber weapon because it attacked American infrastructure, and simultaneously deployed that exact weapon because it could no longer operate without it. The core codes of the American intelligence apparatus were now being supplemented from the outside.
Fourth output, the Pentagon's June 2026 Threat Assessment Report. In a highly sensitive internal review, Israel was classified as the #1 counterintelligence threat operating within the United States. That same year, Senator Sanders forced a vote on S.J.Res 54, attempting to block specific offensive arms sales to Israel based on human rights violations and intelligence concerns. The resolution failed overwhelmingly. According to tracking data from Open Secrets, AIPAC and its affiliated lobbying entities directed over $100 million in coordinated campaign contributions to members of Congress during the 2024 election cycle. Furthermore, historical records from the United Nations Security Council indicate that since 1972, the United States has utilized its veto power exactly 53 times to block resolutions critical of Israeli military actions or settlements.
Nova, the Pentagon formally identifies a state apparatus as a top-tier intelligence threat. In the exact same fiscal year, Congress overwhelmingly approves the transfer of advanced weaponry to that state. Same timeline. Same governing system. There is a highly specific mechanism in biology regarding viral persistence. A specialized pathogen does not attack the host organism by using brute force against its defenses. Instead, it alters the signaling pathways. It presents itself to the host's immune system as something indispensable. The host organism does not perceive the virus as a threat. It perceives it as a resource. As a vital ally. The defense system, the white blood cells, the antibodies, does not activate. Because the defense system has been systematically taught, at a cellular level, that the virus is necessary for survival. The United States-Israel relationship is a direct, structural parallel of this biological dynamic. Trace the timeline. The personal, undocumented intelligence channel of 1951 was the virus's initial entry point into the system, bypassing the skin and entering the bloodstream. Jonathan Pollard's leaked documents in 1985 represented the copying of the system's internal map, allowing the pathogen to understand exactly how the host's nervous system operated. The 2019 financial agreement was the virus securing a permanent, untouchable budget line, a constant extraction of nutrients. The 2024 Pegasus integration was the virus becoming an active partner in the host's operational capability. The Pentagon's #1 threat warning in 2026 was the moment the host's immune system finally recognized the virus. The 53 UN vetoes, the $100 million in campaign routing, and the failed Senate vote are the documentation that after recognition, the host was entirely incapable of launching an immune response. The standard geopolitical counterargument is well documented and must be examined. It is argued that this is not a parasitic relationship. It is mutual interdependence. Israel's intelligence output is described as unparalleled. Mossad's human intelligence network in Tehran, Damascus, and Baghdad, established over decades, is unique. The United States, after the catastrophic intelligence failures in Iraq in 2003 and the Iran nuclear deal miscalculations of 2015, has repeatedly acknowledged its blindness in the region. Israel fills that gap. The 2019 Mao is presented, in this reading, not as a one-way transfer of capital, but as a payment for an irreplaceable service. The data confirms this. Israel's intelligence output is valuable. According to former CIA Director James Woolsey, Mossad's penetration of Syrian and Iranian military command structures during the 2000s was the single most valuable intelligence source the United States possessed on those regimes. But interdependence requires mechanical symmetry. Israel receives a guaranteed $3.3 billion annually, advanced stealth fighters, and a continuous supply of heavy munitions. The United States, in return, pays the diplomatic cost of Israel's actions in international forums. American taxpayer capital is transferred outward. American diplomatic isolation at the United Nations is accepted as a baseline reality. American politicians who attempt to regulate this flow are systematically targeted and removed from the legislative body. If the relationship were truly mutual, the cost of terminating it would be evenly distributed. It is not. The United States can theoretically suspend aid, a power it has used against Egypt, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia. Israel cannot, due to its own asymmetric dependency, choose to forfeit the guaranteed $3.3 billion transfer. The structural vulnerability is not bilateral. It is unidirectional. This is not a strategic exchange of equals. This is an asymmetric dependency. When dependency is symmetric, it is an alliance. When it is asymmetric, when one side extracts capital, intelligence, and diplomatic shielding while the other side absorbs the institutional damage and loses the ability to say no, it is an immune deficiency. The Pentagon's 2026 Threat Assessment Report is not a strategic warning. It is an X-ray. It is a scan showing that the immune system has correctly identified the pathogen. But whether the organism can actually mount a defense, whether the door that James Jesus Angleton opened in Washington in 1951 can ever be closed again, that is no longer a medical or military question. It is a terminal political reality.
Angleton's unauthorized channel, 1951. Pollard's surveillance leak, 1985. The Unalterable Memorandum of Understanding, 2019. The Commerce Department ban and the CIA's Pegasus integration, 2021 and 2024. The Pentagon Threat Report, 2026. The Sanders vote, defeated the same year. 53 Security Council vetoes, stretching from 1972 to the present day. These are not standard geopolitical fluctuations within an alliance. These are the physical documents recording the systematic and complete disabling of an empire's immune mechanism. Tier 2 unlocked. Archive sealed. End of expedition.